So I'm teaching Undaunted Normandy, and we were struggling with the different concepts in this game. So I just wanted to make a quick video explaining the key concepts you need to understand for this game. So you have your supply. Actually, let me start with your hand. So you're going to have cards in your hand that you can play one at a time in order to do things. To get these cards, you're going to draw them from what's called your deck. And these are the cards that you can draw into your hand. As you play the cards, you put them in face up in front of you, kind of like this, into what's called your play area. These are the cards that you played this current player turn. And there's an ability that you have with your squad leader to play these again. That's why you keep them in this central area. Once you're done with your player turn, you then take these and you put them into your discard pile. And there's other actions that can move things directly from here into your discard pile, etc. Okay, and then finally you have your supply, which is all of the cards that you could possibly move into your deck. And the core of the game is trying to get cards from here into your deck that you want, and then also remove cards from your deck if necessary into here that you don't want. So that's why it's called a deck builder, deck management game. But those are the key concepts. You have your hand, your play area, your discard pile, your deck, your supply, and then actually finally there's one final thing, which is your removed cards or like killed cards. So like if you eventually want to get rid of these Fog of Wars, you're going to put them in there. If one of your guys gets killed or shot, you're going to move him into that pile. And those are cards that are no longer going to be usable for that game. So those are the key things: your hand, play area, discard pile, deck, supply, and removed cards. So we're pretty much at the end of this first game. This was a learning game for him, and also an experience for me to learn how to teach the game. But I just wanted to make a quick video about how it all played out. So basically, I kept my guys parked in the first location, and I just kept playing bolster actions to get as many of these rifleman's cards as I could. And I was also playing, when I had the scout, I was playing the ability, I think it's like conceal or whatever, to put Fog of War cards into his deck. And I would say the only mistake he made was moving a scout into this location, which gave him another Fog of War card. But basically, at a certain point, I just moved I think it was when he moved his scout away from this location. He just had one rifleman squad here, and at that point I had a bunch of rifleman cards in my deck. I moved 2 rifleman counters into here, and I started shooting at his rifleman in this tile, and I was able to remove all of its cards from his hand and his discard pile and his deck, and he had to remove the counter off of the off the map. And at that point, I was able to move my 2 riflemen into this hex, and it was at a point where he could not really kill them. Oh, I should say, you do have another option, which is you can move units into this tile, and by doing that, it prevents me from taking control, because I can only take control if it's empty of enemy units. So that's like a last-ditch thing you could do.
But can only a rifleman do that?
I think any of your units that you have, you could move in here.
A scout, for example, his action is a scout, so can he scout into here? Because it's already scout.
Well, it's a move. It's basically a move. His scout action is a move order.
Okay.
So you can use his scout order to move him into here, and I believe the rule is that I would not be able to take control until it was empty of your units, as a last-ditch thing. But I just wanted to make this video to explain what happened in this scenario, just for my future reference. So I just wanted to make a quick video where we just had a situation where bidding for initiative was crucial, because I was in a situation where I could win with my next action. If you look at my cards here, you can see that I can win with my next action. So it was crucial for him to take the initiative from me. And so I told him, I warned him, I said, hey, you're gonna have to bid a very high card if you wanna win the initiative, because I'm gonna bid a good card to get the initiative myself. And he happened to have a card that was better than any of my cards, and that won in the initiative, and that will give him the opportunity to move a unit into this tile to prevent me from immediately taking control. So I thought that was an interesting, a clear case where bidding for initiative is crucial. All right, well, my opponent has just pointed out tremendous mistake on my part, which is that I had not scouted this location. And so my riflemen were not allowed to move into that tile. And so we tried to reverse things as best we could. So I moved my rifleman back into the hedgerows. He's retaining the initiative because he had bid for it. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my hand instead to attack. And then we'll continue from there. And it looks like, I mean, he's presumably going to be able to move one of those units into into that tile. And that's going to make things a lot more complicated for me to win. So we decided to play the second scenario. I'm the Germans, he's the Americans. He happened to just draw rifleman cards, so he figured, well, why not? I'll just move my rifleman into the open. Honestly, I'll tell you now, I didn't tell you before, I was thinking, it's a mistake to move your rifleman into the open. Yeah. You should just wait until you've scouted that hedgerow or something like that. But then, of course, you'd have to draw 2 rifleman cards in order to move him quickly. So, maybe it's not such a bad idea to have him there. But it just so happened he used his first order to move the rifleman, his second order to attack my machine gunner. I told him it was basically a waste of, it probably was, nothing was going to happen. Like, I'm in woods, I'm so far away. He has to roll a 0 because a 0 is the only thing you can roll that's always a hit. And he just so happened to roll a 0. So he just took out my only machine gunner card that's in my deck. And so I have to, in order to use my machine gunner, I have to draw a card that either my squad leader or my platoon leader, so that I can draw additional machine gunner cards. And then I have to wait for the machine gunner card to be drawn into my hand. So basically, right at this point, he can just move with all of his units without my machine gunner being able to suppress them. So this is a disaster. This is probably the best possible opening that the allied player can have in this scenario. So very interesting, very interesting. So I was just going to explain what I think the concept here is for the German player is, I think what you want to do as a German player is you want to use your gunners to suppress the enemy units. You want to have as many machine gunner cards in your deck as possible, maybe getting rid of other cards to try to get more machine gunner cards. And then maybe use your scout to fill the other person's deck with Fog of War. So basically try to paralyze him. So you just keep suppressing him and filling his deck with Fog of War. And then at a certain point, maybe you move your rifleman up to these hedgerow hexes and try to actually start inflicting casualties. Something like that. I don't know, but I think that's the idea here. But now that I don't have the machine gunner, it's going to be much more difficult for me to do that. So still in the second scenario, we're now in another situation where it makes sense for me to bid a better card because he has these 2 riflemen in these positions that don't have any cover. And so I want to prevent him from getting out of that situation before I can respond, because I have cards that will allow me to respond. So I just made a mistake where I had been discarding cards into my dead pile because it was also oriented like this, and I was just putting them here. So I think the fix that I'm going to use is to turn the dead pile sideways so that I don't get confused between my discard pile and my dead pile. So my opponent really should have won already, but he warned me about a high card he was going to bid, and it allowed me to just barely escape death. But the situation we're in now is that he's moved his rifleman into this position. As soon as he gets if he had not been suppressed, he could have taken control and won the game immediately. He only needs to get one of these 3 tiles, control of them, in order to win. He only needs 1 objective point. However, now that he's so close, my machine gunner can suppress the rifleman and then target him for attack and quickly cause casualties. So he also has these guys that are in a very good position to move into one of these positions. So this is really kind of my big concern. So yeah, that's the situation we're in. Oh, the other thing is that my deck he's been using his scout to add Fog of War cards to my deck. And so my deck has just been getting more and more full of these Fog of War cards, which is really slowing me down. As you can see, my hand is all Fog of Wars basically. So yeah, that's the state of things.